Sanjay, as you working as learning consultant across various countries, right? Today we're going to dive deep into external training, specifically distributor, partner, franchisee training, right?
Sure.
So, do you have a scenario or a client who had a pretty complicated, complex use case in franchisee training?
Well, funny enough, yes, I worked with one of a multinational company from the FMCG market, based out of US. They had a different vertical that they were starting on, nationally first. Internationally, definitely the scaling up that they wanted to see. So nationally, they wanted to work with franchisees across the country. So that was the use case that I worked with a particular company from a industry that looking for a vast project in training and development.
Right. So, what were they training and who were they training? Who was the target?
So the target for them, the target were the franchisees that they wanted to have across the country, and eventually the end users, the external users, who would be interested to train themselves through those franchisees. That they would buy courses, they would learn how the franchisee works, and eventually work over there. Once they learn, how the product works, how the services that the franchisee offers. Once they learn of that particular part, and then they would just work with the franchisee itself. So it was more about the training and development of the users, and eventually having them in-house work in the company itself.
Right. So it was like B to B to C. So
Yes.
this multinational FNGC client will train the franchisees, and then franchisee will take it over from there, and they will train their customers.
Yes, exactly.
So just out of curiosity, was this a money-making business for them? They were selling training, or it was more education of the main product this MNC multinational was trying to promote?
It was, I would say, it was both scenarios. It was a money-making process for them to onboard the franchisees, to give them the solution that they would need eventually to train these users. And it was an educational approach as well, because these franchisees were part of the vertical that this company was starting off nationally across the country. So it was both the scenarios, money-making as well as the educational approach for them.
Got it. So tell me what solution Paradiso provided. Tell us about the architecture.
Well, of course, we actually provided the right solution, to be very honest, because initially when they started off this particular project, the client told me that they were doing everything manually. They were managing all the franchisees that they were onboarding, all the trainings that they were providing or selling. They were maintaining Excel sheets, spreadsheets. So they were maintaining everything to manage everything manually. So they were just looking for a solution that can automate this whole process. So we jump into that. We understood their requirements. We provided the exact solution for them to automate everything. From the moment that they would onboard a franchisee, from the moment that they would set up the franchisees with the platform, and then give them the ability to sell the training programs online to these external users and provide them the right training. So from end-to-end solution we provided.
Got it. So did you have to do customization for each franchisee? They needed some kind of website or some kind of special customization?
Yes. So since we are talking about a huge amount of franchisees across the country initially, so they were having a requirement of implementing micro websites for each franchisees, which could be different, which could be based on their specific needs. Having customizations in the sense, the configurations that we had to do within the portals for these franchisees, like tax calculations, multi-currency exchanges, all these factors which would help them. Even though, so the whole idea was that even if we are going national for now, when we go international, so the currency exchange would be a big factor for them, so that everybody can just buy based on the currency that they follow. So these were the different, configurations and customizations that we had to do for each micro websites, based on the franchisee would need.
Okay, so each franchisee had their own website in a way, and they would get their clients eventually on those websites and do the transactions, which is
Yes.
training, provide the training.
Yes.
Great. So, so when you were going to go international, this particular client, how did they manage the multi-language complexities?
Well, that was easy to solve because of the multilinguality that Paradiso LMS offers. It was pretty understandable by the client that any user who gets into the platform, they will have the option to choose their language that they are looking for. It was supported, the platform offers or supports more than 120 languages, which pretty much covers the US and the Southern American region, which they're planning to expand initially, and then across Europe and other regions as well. So yes, so the multilinguality over there, and then we also provide them on the micro websites where they can just choose based on the language, the courses that they want to access, that they want to buy and then access, so that the training across the websites, across the solution as a whole, is based on the language that the user needs, which was one of the USPs that the client liked.
Okay, so, but that's the platform part, which is easier. But then what about the content, the courses?
So regarding the content, again, I would say not much difficulty that the client had, because Paradiso again offers AI-based authoring tool that allows them. So it's a whole CogniSpark store, I would say, which has a lot of AI tools that the client can use to translate their content in multiple languages, to design content as well, if in case they want to have something which is a bit different regarding the topic. So CogniSpark as a whole has a lot of tools in place, like authoring tool, video creation, translations. So that part helped them a lot, where they were able to translate the content in multiple languages and then implement that content within the platform.
Okay, so you're saying they use the authoring tool side of the
Yes.
things and translated the content. They didn't have to redo the whole thing. They were able to translate the text as well as what about the voiceover? That also gets translated in the platform?
Yes, the voice, including the voiceover. In fact, when they were generating the content using the authoring tool, the voiceover was default generated by AI itself, including the scripts. So they were able to edit the scripts and make it as per as per the requirement for the franchisees, based on what the franchisee offers. But yeah, it was a smooth process for them.
Right. So the AI comes. A lot of people who are watching are interested in AI, right? So if I was a franchisee, if I'm the franchisee manager, and obviously I have my own SOP, standard operating processes. I have my training manual in PDFs and videos. ChatGPT won't understand that, right? So how would I take my own proprietary content, give it to AI, and create my proprietary courses? And I want to be sure that you're not training your language models on our proprietary content. We don't want the content to leak into the internet or in the large language models. So how did they build the courses using their own training manuals?
Most of the cases, that's a question. That's a major query that every franchisees would also have. A few of them had the same query. I mean, whatever you just said, similar to that, they had the similar query. When I'm trying to design content from scratch using AI, that's a different story. If I have my own content that I want to just use and then create a course out of that. So whenever they use the authoring tool to design the content, whenever they import the content like a PDF or a PPT that they have, so when they want the AI to generate a course out of that, course, they can use as it is and they can make the changes and use it accordingly. But if they want some sort of assistance from the AI, then we have designed it in such a way that they have the ability to on and off the web. The language model would do, right? Because if you are restricting the model to not use the internet to get that information, it uses a document, it evaluates the document, reviews it, and then uses that to create the content. Of course, based on the duration, based on the skill level, that's a different story. But the language model will just restrict itself to the documents that you have uploaded and won't use internet to get that information. Well, when you use internet, it uses the document information as well as the internet. But a lot of times the client says, I don't want to use internet. I just want to use my own content that I'm uploading. And then I want the AI to create the course out of that. So that's what we have provided in the authoring tool itself, that you can just turn it off and just limit the model to the documents itself. That's what
right. So what you're talking about is how do you avoid hallucination, right?
Yes.
Like the AI making up its own SOPs and hallucinate and give a false information. And
correct.
AI has gotten really, really good at fooling us, right? Like
agree.
And it makes up the stories, and it sounds very plausible. It sounds reliable, and it knows how to wrap it up in a good package. So to avoid that hallucination, you're saying with your model, as AI, do not use anything else from the internet or from your own model except for this content, right?
Yes.
So that's good. And the second thing, you do not use the content which is client is providing to train your own models, right?
No.
So we restrict that, so the training happens on non-proprietary content, which is not, with the client's content doesn't go in the training, it doesn't go on internet, and also it doesn't take anything from internet, so there's no hallucination.
No hallucination.
When you have your proprietary content. But on the other hand, if you have something like a soft skill course, which is public information,
generic content, general information.
So what happens in that case where I don't have my own PPT or PDF? So how does your
yes, in that case, it does use the internet to get the information, but it tries to get the relevant information, which is like a global standard, probably ISO standard kind of a content that it generates. Because when we talk about generating content, a lot of times people may want AI to follow some regulations, compliances, and all that. But if somebody is looking for let's say a generic soft skill based course, so what the AI does is it gets the information which is global standards, global specific, generic in nature, can be used across the globe anywhere. Doesn't matter if the client is from India or US or Europe, they can just use that content. So it does bring that information and then creates a course out of it. One more thing I would like to say is the best part about that is based on the duration, it tunes the content. Like because nowadays what we have seen, even when I was working with this client and the franchisees, so what I saw that they're not looking for a very long duration content, right? They're just looking for short, crisp, because nowadays people have that short span of focus. So that's what the AI, the tool does. If you're choosing the duration short, it tends to implement short and crisp content. If you're choosing the duration a longer duration, it tries to explain everything in detail. So that is another thing which eventually saves time and efforts to design the content.
Right. So since people who are mobile or frontline desk or global workforce, and with the advent of YouTube Shorts and all that, they want this micro-learning kind of module. So you're saying you can build Paradiso authoring tool can build micro-learning, or it can build a long 2 or 3 hour compliance course as well, depending on your needs, and the AI adjusts itself. So let's go back to our franchisee. So they use the multi-language in the platform to give the learners to choose the language for the interface, and the content was translated using Paradiso authoring tool. So how about reporting? If I want to see how is the franchisee in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil is doing versus in Colorado, for example. So where was there any requirement specific to reporting?
Well, of course, yes. That is usually the case, which was, there were two scenarios in this. This use case was from both the franchisee point of view as well as the client point of view. Because the franchisee wanted to know for themselves how we are doing, how much we are selling, the revenues that we are making when it comes to the selling part of the project for the franchisee, and how all the users who are buying from me, how well they are doing, that they wanted to know in the LMS platform as well, right? That is from the franchisee point of view. But on a larger scale, from the client point of view, they wanted a centralized dashboard, how every franchisee is doing, which they were doing manually. Back in when they started, as I said earlier, they were doing spreadsheets, Excels to maintain everything and then formulate everything and get a data. But now we provided them a centralized dashboard where they can manage the entire franchisees, whether we are talking about the selling part or we are talking about the learning part in the LMS platform. So a centralized dashboard was given in both those solutions to the client and to the franchisees. They had the ability to run individual reports, separate reports.
Got it. Okay, so you kind of separate the data using the tenant. So each franchisee is its own
tenant
in a way. So the master tenant can see everything, but the tenant itself can only see their own franchisee data. They cannot see other franchisees and what they're doing and whatnot. So there's a data segregation.
Segregation. They don't even know that they exist in this tenancy architecture. They don't know. They're using their own LMS. They're getting the experience of their own LMS, but the master tenant manages everything.
Okay, and like we said, every tenant has their own LMS in a way, and they can put their location, their language, their courses, branding, even.
Exactly.
Right? They can do all of that customization.
Yeah. They've done that.
Okay, so it's all multi-tenant kind of extended enterprise platform. Okay, so in this whole process, what was the most difficult part of the whole working with the client, getting the requirement, quotation, deployment? Which part was like a tedious or took longest?
Risk assessment. Okay. Right. So I mean. Understanding the requirements, providing them the solution can be sometimes challenging, but it's manageable. It takes time, but it's manageable. Risk assessment was, a phase where a lot of times, when we're talking about the vendors who are providing the services, they tend to fail or they tend to have a lot of challenges and the problems because we are talking about data security, we're talking about compliances, but in this case, Paradiso offered everything that the client wanted because as far as the compliances is concerned, Paradiso itself is SOC 2 compliant, ISO certified, GDPR compliant, which is must have, because when you're talking about serving in European region, GDPR is one of the biggest compliances that you need to follow, and GDPR is being followed across the world, not just Europe. And now, in this year. So GDPR compliancy, that was another advantageous option that Paradiso offered. Cybersecurity, which Paradiso was offering, and the fact that they were using AWS for hosting, which was being deployed in the region that the client wanted, and AWS being compliant with every regulations and compliances. So the risk assessment, which I thought would be a very tedious process, very challenging process for me as well as the client, turned out to be very smooth. It took time delivering the evidences, informations and all, but it was a smooth process. Everything, all the compliance documents, security documents, audits, everything was in place by the company.
Right. So because you're talking about multinational with such a big brand and such a big presence globally. For them, the risk, mitigating risk comes first, then everything else.
That's the major requirement that they have. They want to protect their data. They want to protect their user data, content data, and they're serving franchisees. So they have to take care of the franchisees, which are not even the part of the company. They're like different people, just doing their
external.
work. External
kind of client in a way. It's a mutual relationship or partnership, And I can just imagine the risk assessment team on your client side and the compliance team, what a nightmare for them, right? Like every country has a different regulations, data protection policies, and there could be potentially different types of franchisees. So the amount of complexity and the reason they are so careful about this whole process, like you said, the risk assessment was the longest phase and most tedious phase because of the responsibility your decision maker, the person who chose the Paradiso LMS has on their shoulder to protect their stakeholders, right?
Correct.
So that's why, as you know, those
and
who
then
are watching
the fact that they were scaling up to international countries, so that was again one of the thing that we have to keep in mind. So so everything went smoothly. So that's the good thing in risk assessment process.
Right. So the franchisee training managers or franchisee managers who are watching this, I guess that should not be afterthought. Whether the LMS has SOC 2, they have data security, are they globally compatible? Because as your business scales, you would need all of these. Especially if you're scaling multiple states within United States. There also the policies differ from one state to another. Also internationally, obviously. And so you should have that in mind. So I always tell customers who are choosing LMS, it's think about it like a 5 to 10 year decision. You're going to be with this LMS. You're going to be with this vendor. You're going to choose the training platform. You're going to choose. Just assume you're going to be with them for a long time. Even if you change your mind and things change, it's okay. But what you don't want to happen is ramp up, scale up your business, scale up your franchisee, and 2 years down the line, you have to start again, change another vendor, because the data migration from one LMS to another can be a nightmare, especially if you have multiple tenants, right? So always choose a partner who has that kind of global scale and the robustness in the platform, right?
I completely agree. Right. That is, when we talk about external training, as you said, multi-tenancy architecture, micro websites. When you talk about these, the major challenge when you're trying to shift to a different vendor is data migration, which sometimes becomes a nightmare for a client. So that's why a long-term partnership is what we also, recommend to our clients.
Right. So I know the reason customers work with us is mostly because of the customization abilities we have. We say we are world's most customizable, most integrated LMS. And that's why I guess this client came to you and went so far deep into the, in the filtering process. They must have many vendors, right? Talking to them. How was that?
So always, the competition will be there. Multiple vendors were there. But the most important part is how flexible are you in terms of designing the platform that I need, is what the client asks. Because when we talk about big multinational enterprise companies, enterprise clients, they're not looking for something which is readily available, because their needs are different. Their requirements are different. Their training methods are different. So them, it's more like, if I tell you design this, can you? That's the main question that they always ask. Right. And the vendor who can say, yes, we can, absolutely we can, is what they prefer to have conversations further. So that's what we did. I mean, when this particular client came to have discussions, when they said micro websites, and we're not talking about one or two, we're talking about multiple number of websites and then multiple number of portals, and then we want you to design everything separately. So that was the challenge that they wanted to give us, that can you handle this? Are you flexible to do this? So that's what we said. So of course we can do it.
Right. So that's like, see, a lot of our conversation, especially for these complex use cases, end up in that direction, that how is Paradiso able to have such architecture where you can customize for different clients and still be a platform company, right? So the modular architecture which we have, where you can it's like the way I explain customers is it's like Legos, right? With the
Legos.
same pieces, you can make car or you can make a castle. So Paradiso has these hundreds of modules which you can plug and play depending on your needs. And in fact, you can plug your own module, which is fully custom, and still the core of the platform stay intact. The core can still be upgraded. The core can still be supported. And obviously, every time a customer wants to add their own module, we go through the whole BAPT, the security testing, and making sure that we are not creating any holes in the security. Over the years, over a decade now, we have built this entire library of modules, entire workflow to be able to fully customize the LMS. And the way, like the way you're saying, is that big enterprise customers or even startups, they have their own processes, they have their own USP, they have their own value propositions. So they expect the platform to be flexible, as opposed to the cookie cutter vendor who are expecting the customers to be flexible and be adapt to their platform. So we say we can adapt to your needs, and that's kind of the niche we play in, where we are fully customizable LMS platform. So Sanjay, this has been great conversation. I hope some of the people who are watching, the partner, franchisee, distributor, customer training kind of use cases they have, they will find something useful in this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for your time as well.